Welcome to the channel, y'all. This is math, and we are just math, y'all. And here we are today. We're going to be talking about slope. So let's jump in. Okay, so section 3.3 in your notes. This is slope. You should have this document. And just basically some things about what slope is. Now, this is my definition. It may or may not be the official definition, but this is my definition. And my definition of slope is a number that describes the steepness of a line. Steepness. There we go. Oh, it doesn't look right. But anyway, how steep your line is. It's a number that describes how steep your line is. Just like your shoe size is a number that kind of describes how big your foot is. But it's all relative. I mean, if you have a shoe size of, say, 20 is not that big of a number, but if it's a shoe size, it is a big number. So slope is a fraction. So a lot of the slopes are smaller than 1, but they are significant. Okay, so you don't have to be a big number to be a big slope. So like 5 would be a big slope. And but just understand the slope is a number that describes the steepness of a line, how steep it is. Okay, now there's other ways to think about slope. It's a pattern between points. This is one of the ways that I really want you to try to remember, that it's a pattern between points. It is the rise over the run, also known as the vertical change over the horizontal change. And when we're talking about slope, some people might, remember the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is our formula. And that goes straight to the vertical change over the horizontal change, because change generally means subtraction, and vertical are your y moves. Your y moves are your up and down, and so vertical change would be subtract your y's, and horizontal change would subtract your x's. Now remember, the little 2 and the little 1, they have absolutely no math associated with them. Those are there to tell you which point, the second y that you have minus the first y that you have, and the second x that you have minus the first x. Slope is also the rate of change. Okay, that is how it's applicable. So like if you are, you see something changing, all right, you're measuring the growth of, well, growth is not linear, but if you're measuring something and it's changing, say it's going up 20 pounds a week, then that would be a slope. That's your rate of change. It's 20 pounds per week. Each week it's going up 20 pounds. And so that is your rate of change. Okay. That doesn't mean that's how much it is. That just means it's changing that much every week. That's your rate of change. That would be a slope. Okay. So these are ideas of slope and how steep a line is. And sometimes we look at lines as hills or slides. And so just think about, hills and slides. So let's look at some lines real quick. Okay. Remember, we read lines from left to right. And so when we're looking at a line, we take that into consideration. I'm going to try to make these lines pretty easy to do. So this line right here, oh goodness, that didn't work right. Let's try again. This line is going up. This is a positive slope. So left to right, this goes up, so it's positive. This line is going down from left to right, and so it's negative. And this line has no slope. It has no steepness. Now, if your number describes how steep your number is, and your number is, I don't have any, or it's 0. This slope is 0. This is 0 because it has no steepness. It's flat. It's flat. It doesn't have a hill. It's not a slide. It's flat. It doesn't have any steepness. It's horizontal. So the number associated with I don't have any is 0. We know that. And then this one right here is vertical. Ooh, let's try again. This one has impossible steepness. It's not a hill or slide, and it's supposed to be vertical, but I can't seem to make that work. That's a little better. There we go. Okay, but that's vertical. This has undefined slope. It's undefined. And what this does not have any steepness. It is straight up and down. It is vertical. It does not have a ratio of rise to run because technically it doesn't have any run. No run. It does not have a run. So your rise over your run, if you don't have a run, produces that. And we know in algebra, if you have a 0 in the denominator, or in math, not just algebra, but we have a 0 in denominator, we call this undefined because we have no run. It's just straight rise. So, all right, so let's look at a few lines and see if we can determine the slope of them. So here's one right here. And I've got a point here. And I got another point here. Here's another line here. Let's do this one. Oop, crooked. Let's try again. Try again. It's hard to make these lines sometimes. There's a point. So there's my line right there. Okay, and let's talk about the slope of these two lines. This one's positive, and I know it's positive. And your rise is going to be positive if you move up, and it's going to be down if you move down. So if I go from point to point, I'm going to go up 2, so that's a positive 2. Now my run right here is right or left, right or left. So if I move right, it's going to be positive. If I move left, it's going to be negative. So my rise was 2, and my run is 4. And so that's positive. So my slope of this line is 2 over 4, which is 1/2. Okay, slope is a fraction, and it's going to follow all rules of fraction, so make sure you do that. All right, let's do this next one. Okay, so our rise this time is down, so it's a negative, and our run is positive 1. So this one has a slope of negative 3 over 1, which, again, if we simplify the fraction, it would just be negative 3. Just negative 3. Okay. Stop the video and see if you can come up with the slope for these lines. And this line. All right. Here we go. Our rise is 5, and I went up, so that's positive. My run is 3, and I went right, so that's positive. So my rise over my run, which is my slope, is positive 5 over 3. All right. Now this one. So what if we went the wrong way? What if we just did it differently? Okay. What if I did my run first? That's 9, and I went right, so that's positive 9. And then I went down 1, which is negative. Okay. It doesn't matter the way you go first, just knowing that the vertical has to be the number on top. Okay, my rise is negative. My run is positive. And so my fraction is negative 1/9. All right, so we had a formula. We don't have a video for number 12, so you can erase that. But we have a formula. We talked about changing y, we're changing x, because if we don't have any graph paper, then how are we going to do this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video, and we're going to come back to this one on the next video. It's just math, y'all. You can do this. Keep trying.